because we need to get started. We have a lot of bills that we need to consider this morning. And I want to take Senator McDougal. I know you have something pressing this morning, so I'd like to take you first if you all don't mind. Call the roll, please.
Senator Lucas?
Here.
Senator Norman?
Here.
Senator Ruff?
Here.
Senator Edwards?
Here.
Senator Peterson? Senator Marston?
Here.
Senator Evan?
Senator McDougal.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Which, did you have an order?
How about we take 896 first and take them in numerical order?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. 896 deals with racketeering in the statute, but Madam Chairman, the issue that we have found, and you've seen it all in your districts, are groups of individuals that are organized commit larcenies in amounts less than $1,000, but it's directed, so they're bundling those. And this would add petty larceny if the aggregate amount comes up to $10,000, which is already the limit set in the statute, for us to be able to go after those organized groups that are organizing larcenies, where people go in, steal $900 multiple times throughout Virginia.
Senator Norman.
When we have this many bills, it's helpful to have the page numbers. Excuse me.
Page 18. Senator McDougal.
Madam Chairman, that's it. So I think there is if I recall correctly, I think Senator Stewart has a bill that is trying to deal with the same issue. This is the pathway that we came up. I think Charles can correct me if I'm wrong. This is the pathway we came up with. Our focus was not on the individuals so much that are committing the petty larcenies, but the organized groups, and this was the way to attack that. Because if the organized groups are not having the larcenies be greater than 1,000, we can't go after them with racketeering. This would allow us to be able to do it if they're stealing items that are $900, but again, it has to get to that aggregate 10,000.
Any questions of the patron?
Madam Chair, a quick question.
Senator Marston.
A lot of times there are these shoplifting gangs, if you will. Is it designed to get after that, where they sometimes use juveniles, sometimes whatever, just to get at them as a racketeering effort?
Madam Chairman, yes. That's exactly it. Unfortunately, there are gangs that will move up and down the coast. They'll come to Virginia for a period of time, not commit any felonies, and so then even if you are able to identify them and move forward, extradition for misdemeanor is just not practical.
Yeah. RICO, there we go.
Thank you. Call the vote, or?
I just want to know if there's anybody who wants to speak for or against the bill, and I think not.
I don't hear anybody.
I don't hear anybody, so it's been moved and properly seconded that the bill be reported. All in favor of that motion, please designate a yea or nay. Aye.
Aye.
Bill reported.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
And so since we're going numerically, 1207.
Madam Chairman, this is the second bill, and thank you very much. This deals with street gangs, and Madam Chairman, I think Charles, based on some of the comments that heard in the courts committee, made this change.
Can we get a motion on the substitute? It's been moved and probably seconded that the substitute be agreed to. All in favor say aye. Aye. Senator McDougal.
Madam Chairman, what the substitute does is take out any changes to the mandatory minimum, so they stay as they are in current law. And Charles, correct me if I'm wrong, but on lines 13, the change in the statute is we added in all felonies that fall within the current violent felony definition of 17.1805. So there were felonies that did not fall into that list, and now they're added back in.
Madam Chair, that's correct. The substitute only changes line 57, where there was a mandatory minimum of in the introduced bill was 5 years. This restores it to 2 years, which is the current law.
Sure, got
There's
it.
no increase in any mandatory minimum.
Thank you. Any questions of the patron? Motion? It's been moved and probably seconded that the bill be reported. All in favor of that motion, and that is the substitute. Senator Norman? You okay? All right. Motion is on the floor. All in favor? Aye.
I'm going to abstain. I'm just getting my eyes on this now.
One abstention?
5 yeas, 1 abstention.
Yes, ma'am. Senator McDougal, you have one more bill, and that's 1366?
Which one's that?
No, that's not yours.
I think this was it.
for
If
you.
I have one more,
No, you don't have
I'm
another one.
unaware.
You don't have another
So-
one. I was just trying to give you another one. But I don't think I'd want you to have that one anyway.
Mr. Madam Chairman, thank you very much for your courtesies.
Thank you. Have a good morning. Thank you. To the sign-up sheet, please.
Yes, next up is Senator Boysko.
Senator Boysko?
I'll get the page number. Bill 1156,
Okay,
and that
that's,
is on.
Good morning.
good morning, Senator Boysko. You have Senate Bill 1156.
Yes, ma'am. This is the smothering bill. It closes a loophole. It's 1156. It closes a loophole in Virginia law and better protects victims of domestic violence here in the Commonwealth. The current law,
Be succinct on the presentation.
certainly, I'm just going to give you the first statement of exactly what it is. So currently, we have strangulation. This adds another charge, which is suffocation. It was amended so that you were in the committee.
I was in the committee. Most
Yeah.
of us were, so most of us.
You were, so
Yeah,
I'm
so
not
most of
gonna
us have heard most of it.
rediscuss the whole thing. But the big important thing for you is that there is a $50,000 estimated fiscal impact.
Most of us have
Not a
heard.
big thing.
She's thought this bill through very well. So
Yes.
I would move to report.
Thank you.
It's been moved and properly seconded that the bill be reported. All in favor of that motion, please designate by saying aye or nay or abstention. Aye. 6-0, the bill will be reported.
Excellent. So my next bill is Senate Bill 1274. It would
74.
provide free electronic communication systems within the corrections facilities, free telephone calls. We had a work group that worked together all last year with DOC and stakeholders to assess costs for providing free phone calls and electric communications. The bill that I'm carrying has a budget amendment hosted by our colleague, Chap Peterson. The FISC came back based on the original bill, which had no parameters on how many calls a person can have and how long it could. I know Katie has worked really hard on this as well. I have stakeholders here, but I would love to see us move forward. You know, we know that this is really an important piece, keeping in touch with your loved ones. It helps with recidivism and just overall.
And most of us have
health.
heard most of this one also.
Yeah.
So, motion, Senator Norman?
Now, I see that Senator Peterson put a $13 million
Budget amendment.
budget in there, but they're showing a $22 million
Yeah.
general fund cost in
Yes.
24 and 25. So that would be a $9 million delta in 24 and a $12 million delta in 25.
Yes, sir.
Madam Chair, I think, and I know I've seen fiscal impact statements as building get on steroids sometimes. I think we have people to speak. I don't know if you want witnesses. I do think, as Senator Boysko said, that this can be shaved down pretty easily. This is not your teenager getting their own cell phone, okay? This is something where I think we can limit this as much as we want, quite frankly. So.
Senator Boysko?
Yes, Madam Chair. So, we have some folks who have been studying how this has worked in other states. I have some data. We'd be happy to continue working with DOC and Katie and your staff to make sure that we're getting the number right. I think it's so important that there's good data that shows that if we allow people to have good communication, there are families who are really bearing this burden who did nothing wrong themselves, and it's so really we can think of this as a tax cut for those people if we need to think of it that way. But
Any questions of the patron?
I do have a
Senator Norman?
Senator Boysko, you may not know this, and maybe you do, but if in fact we fund this, is that going to eliminate the phone calls that we get that says this is from an inmate and press 1 to accept it?
Well, Madam Chair, Senator
Boyce, go.
Norman, if their phone calls were allowed to be free, I would expect, but I would ask DOC to clarify that, but I would assume that if we're covering the cost of phone calls for inmates, that would include to their attorneys and others, and you would not have to take care of that.
Madam Chairman, my concern,
Senator
it
Norman.
doesn't cost me anything, but sometimes when these folks are incarcerated, they don't have much to think about other than their own plight. And I was in there on Saturday. I had 7 consecutive phone calls from the same prisoner. And of course, I have to push one to accept it. And what I'm wondering is, does it eliminate that, or is the call just going to come through?
Madam Chair, Senator
go.
Norman, all of us have the ability to block phone calls. It doesn't address that issue.
Madam Chair.
Senator Marsden.
Thank you, Senator Boysko. I think one of the things that is commonly done in correctional facilities is tie the availability of phone calls to behavior and level systems and what have you, which is an incentive for people to behave accordingly. And in that regard, it gives DOC some additional ability to control inmate behavior.
And Madam Chair,
Senator Boyce.
Senator Marsden, one of the things in the original bill said that they could use the phones when they wanted. We stripped that language to give them that authority to make some decisions for themselves, giving them that leeway to set some parameters, which I believe would lower the cost of the Commonwealth's investment.
Thank you, Senator Boyce. Any other questions? I'm waiting for a motion. It's been moved and properly seconded the bill be reported. All in favor of that motion say aye. Aye. Noes have the same right? Noes. Any abstentions?
5-2.
5-2, the bill is reported.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Committee.
Thank you, Senator Boyce. Katie?
Next, we have Senator Bell,
Senator Bell?
and he's on page 1.
It's on page 1. Okay. Senator Bell, you have 1071.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. This is an administration bill, and it's a fairly simple bill in scope, and really what it's trying to do is help our military members who are transitioning and to provide them services by the Department of Behavioral and Department of Veterans Services. It really just amends the language in the code and to include this population. It right now deletes the line that reads "not in federal service," which would not impact people in this situation. So by eliminating that, we can provide services to those veterans and their spouses. Oftentimes when people are transitioning, it's a critical time, and frankly, some of the services we have, which we'd love to offer to these folks, we're not able to do it. So this would just allow us to do that. I spoke with Secretary Crenshaw, and they did not put in a budget amendment because they believed they could absorb it. They didn't think there was any cost.
Okay.
The FISC came back with no budget impact, but I also got I put a placeholder in just in case, and then I got the sheet back saying $220,000 in the second year. I was a little confused by that because we didn't think it cost anything. And like I said, I talked to Secretary Crenshaw just last week to verify. He didn't think there was a cost. So I wanted to bring that up to you.
You're correct. This is codifying their current practice. So basically, it would expand eligibility, except they've kind of already expanded eligibility to transitioning service members. So it is indeterminate minimal. So we would not need a budget amendment.
Thank you for that clarification, Katie.
I want to
No, well, Senator, I'm sorry, Senator Edwards, no. Senator Norman, I heard you in my left ear first.
Sorry. I want to congratulate Senator Bell on his courage, because normally when you, in this atmosphere this year, if you open the comment with it's an administration bill, that means it's dying immediately, so I admire your courage.
This one should make it. I hope.
Now, Senator Edwards,
Move
okay,
report. Second.
it's been moved and properly seconded the bill be reported. All in favor of that motion, please say aye. Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions?
7-0.
7-0, the bill will be reported. Have a
I thank
good
the
one.
committee.
You're very welcome. Katie?
Senator Deeds,
Senator Deeds?
page 4.
Senator Deeds, page 4.
I've got.
And Senator
Everybody's
Dees,
got jobs to do, you know?
Senator Dees, you have several bills, and
Do it with a
you want,
smile.
do you want to take them numerically?
Numerically is fine. 1291.
1291.
Is a anti-swatting bill. It relates to prank calls made to schools that result in emergency situations.
Yes.
I could describe what I described on the Judiciary Committee, but the fiscal impact on this is that it's a Class 1 misdemeanor to make the report. It's a Class 5 felony. If serious bodily injury occurs, or it's a Class 6 felony rather there, it's a Class 5 felony if a death occurs.
Sure.
That's fiscal.
Most of us have heard a lot of the context. Any questions of the patron? Senator Norman, and then Senator,
Of course, this basically assumes that the imposition of the punishment is being on an adult. And sometimes these calls are originating from students.
That's
What do we do?
well, they're in juvenile court, and you know how that process works.
other questions of the patron? Been moved and properly seconded that the bill be reported. All in favor of that motion, please say aye. Noes have the same right. Any abstentions? You have one abstention?
No, I'm for it.
Oh, I just heard your voice late. I thought that meant something else. Okay. So
Okay, Senate Bill 13,
okay, so
7-0.
7-0, the bill will be reported, Senator Dees.
1310 is a recommendation of the Judicial Council, and basically, the whole idea is to protect judges or judicial officers' information on the internet. It flows out of the Unite the Right rally, which occurred in Charlottesville in 2017. There are magistrates' names from that case, from that situation, that were posted online with a call to action for people to search for and share their personal information, including residential addresses and work hours. Those people were threatened with death.
Yes.
Okay. Can I raise a question?
Senator Peterson.
Our addresses are on our petitions.
The judicial officers.
Well, I realize that. We're legislative officers. It's not like we're less controversial.
Senator Dees.
No, well, and this doesn't address that. If you want to amend the bill, you can
I'm
amend
not
the
gonna
bill.
amend the bill.
Or you can put in your own bill.
I'm not putting in my own
Senator
bill.
Peterson.
I'm done.
Thank you. Senator Norman.
The note says, if I'm reading right, it's limited to 4 years.
Limited to 4 years.
Other questions of the patron? Motion, please.
Good report.
Been moved. Second, that the bill be reported. All in favor of that motion? Aye. Yay. Abstentions? Aye. Got one no.
6-1.
6-1, the bill will be reported. Senator Dees, your next bill.
1484, I think you've got an
1484.
amendment to that bill. Just, the amendment is the statement of the cost, that the enactment clause wasn't on the bill initially. So I think that's the purpose of the amendment Charles has.
Charles,
Madam Chair, there's just a technical amendment at the end of the bill, adding the woodroom language that reflects.
let's get a motion on the amendment. It's moved, second, that the amendment be agreed to. All in favor say aye. Aye. Charles.
Okay, this bill,
Okay.
it really was developed after the shooting at the University of Virginia this
Yes.
past fall.
Yes.
In 2021, we passed legislation to keep firearms out of state-owned buildings and facilities. We exempted colleges and universities. I think we did that because they all have rules that say you can't have guns in the dorms or
Right.
on school property, but this gives that the force of the law. It makes it a Class 1 misdemeanor, and it also elevates the ability of law enforcement to get a search warrant in the event that there's the probable cause and articulable suspicion that there's a weapon there. You know, this young man, after that occurred, they searched his room, which was on the grounds of the University of Virginia, and found an armory.
Yes.
Against school rules, but now would be against the law.
Senator Norman.
Senator Dees, are you confident that this would not impact VMI where every room has firearms?
Well, we've got in there the possession of a firearm that's part of a curriculum or organizational activity such as ROTC is specifically excluded from this.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good explanation. Any other questions of the patron?
Good report. Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded that the bill be reported. All in favor of that motion, please say aye. Nays have the same right. Any abstentions? There's one no.
One no. And
Just a second, was that 6-1?
Yes.
Okay. The bills will be reported 6-1. Senator Dees, you have one more bill, and that's
1532 is a protective order bill, and basically this bill provides a mechanism to ensure protective order doesn't lapse if there's a gap between the expiration of the protective order and the hearing on the motion to extend. If the hearing doesn't occur before the existing order expires, people won't get an extension. This permits the court, when an motion to extend is received, provided it's received before the order expires, to issue an ex parte preliminary protective order that will remain in place until the hearing is held.
any questions of the patron?
This is a bill that Delegate Bell has on the other side.
Yes. I hear a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the bill be reported as Senate Bill 1532. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Nays have same right. Any abstentions?
7-0.
7-0, the bill is reported. Thank you, Senator Dees.
Next up, we have Senator McClellan, page 17.
Senator McClellan, page 17.
Morning, Madam Chair.
Yes.
I have Senate Bill 1366, which establishes a framework to create the Virginia Cannabis Incubator Project. This regulatory structure would be administered by the Virginia Cannabis Control Authority. It does have a delayed effective date pending legalization of retail marijuana market. The idea here is to provide incubator services for undercapitalized farmers such as small, rural, or minority farmers. That's the bill. I did not see a fiscal impact. I guess we're here because the word cannabis is in it.
I'm sure that's correct.
Yeah.
Any questions of the patron? Hearing none, is there a motion?
Report.
It's been moved and probably seconded the bill be reported. All in favor of that motion, please say aye. Nays have the same right. Any abstentions?
No.
There's one no, or one abstention.
I believe that was 5-2.
5-2. Okay, 5-2. The bill will be reported.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next up, we have Senator Hanger.
I thought I had Senator Eben. Huh?
Actually, Madam Chair, I've got a bill.
Okay.
Right. And I just sounded, a little bird just whispered in my ear, I might get stabbed in the back this morning, so I
I
broke
don't
me
see
up.
any knives behind you.
What's that?
I don't see any knives behind you. Go ahead.
Good.
Senator Hanger.
Okay. Because my bill is simple. Senate Bill 903. Thank you, Madam Chair, and members of the committee. Senate Bill 903, let me be very clear, it is not about marijuana. It is not about adding new penalties. All it is, it establishes a provision for registration of retail facilities that sell legal products. It has a provision in there for uniform packaging, labeling and testing, and establishes no new penalties of any type. It simply will enable VDACs to be able to properly monitor this with a registration system. Now, there is a competing bill on the House side. I would say competing. It has some of the right provisions in it, but has the Attorney General's office taking the lead rather than VDACs. And the case has been made in the Senate committees where we've worked on this for quite some time, that VDACs is the appropriate place. They already have the capacity, and they're in these stores supervising the regulation of these products that are legal. There is already in the budget some money for some additional positions as needed to properly administer this program, Madam Chair. So that first reference I made, I apologize for that, probably isn't necessary. I think this one is fairly simple.
Sure. Thank you. Any questions of the patron?
Well, Madam
Senator
Chair,
Eben.
comment. This is Senate Bill 903. I had incorporated the similar provisions on packaging dosage safety into Senate Bill 1133, and I was going to suggest that we combine them.
Yeah.
Senator Hanger.
You want to roll your bill into mine?
Vice versa.
Madam Chair, I understand the dynamic here. It has to do with action going on in the House. I would not want to put this in jeopardy. This is a safety type measure. We have children actually being killed by eating these edible products, and we need to move this bill. I understand where Senator Evans' goal is for this year, but I think he has got an uphill struggle with the administration, and that's not my battle at all.
Senator Eben.
Well, I was going to move that we incorporate SB 903 into SB 1133 with, which has a substitute to include the provisions of 903 regarding packaging, dosage, and safety.
Substitute motion, I move to report 903. Second.
It's been moved and probably second that 903 be reported. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Senator Peterson, you have.
Yeah, I'm going to vote with Adam on this, and I fully support what Emmett's doing, and I don't want to disappoint you, Emmett, but I do think there's a long game here, and I think we need to regulate this market. By the way, I voted against marijuana 2 years ago, but now that it's here, it's got to be regulated, and I agree with you 1,000% as a father of 4 children, but I do think, listen up please, guys, I do think that we need to get some regulation in place, and Adam's vehicle is going to get us there. And I know you all are going to be unhappy bedfellows here, but, well.
I think you already have a vote, but I would say doing this maneuver will not get us there. It'll just kill this initiative. That's where it's at. I don't see a way with this administration and the current composition of the House. There's just not going to happen. So I would ask you to report this bill so we can at least do something to protect public safety.
Madam Chairman,
Senator Norman.
you talk about the long game, and I really get annoyed when we in the Senate start trying to adjust our legislative initiatives based on what the House is doing.
What are we doing
here? That is a totally unpredictable variable. But I just want to concur, probably have more conversations and some of this table with the administration. Senator Hanger is absolutely right. Absolutely right. You know, they are not going to embrace this broader approach. And so if that's the long game, do you want something or nothing? Pretty simple.
I do have one question of the patron, and that is, you said this will be limited only to licensed,
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
and so who's licensed other than the big boxes like Cannablist and Greenleaf?
Madam Chair, it would be an open licensing process for a fee. Anyone who has any of the small or large stores would be able to be licensed for the fee. And then VDAX knows who is licensed and who isn't, and would be able to operate there with knowing where the universe is.
Any other questions of the patron? Motion, please.
Move to report. Second.
It's been moved and probably seconded the bill be reported. All in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Nays?
I'm just going to abstain for now. I support the bill. I got a
You have 2 noes and 1 abstention.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Senator Hanger?
Appreciate your courtesy. And
don't have another bill, so you have a good day.
No, that's me, and I apologize for being a little aggressive there at first.
That's all right.
You're all friends.
Thank you. Okay. Katie?
Next up is Senator Lewis.
Senator Lewis?
This is the last, there's an addendum, so it's the last page in your handout.
Right, I have it.
I asked myself that too.
Senator Lewis, you have Senate Bill 1393.
Yes, Madam Chair. Like Senator Hanger, I have had the tea leaves read to me this morning as well. Senate Bill 1393, I'm sorry, Madam Chair. This bill builds upon language that was passed in the 2022 budget regarding hemp. It adds requirements for inhalable hemp-derived products that mirror those for food and beverage products, including an ingredient list, the amount that constitutes a single serving, and total percentage of milligrams of THC. The bill proposes several additional regulatory requirements for all hemp-derived products in order to increase both consumer safety, consumer knowledge, and understanding. The importance of regulating hemp, obviously, as a result of the 2018 Farm Bill, hemp-derived products became legal nationwide.
Yep.
And as a result, many products on the market make misleading claims and infringe upon trademarks and other intellectual property. So as this made its way through the rehab subcommittee and committee, there were some additions that we made in the nature of a substitute that passed through the committee, and they included a lot of the child safety issues, labeling and packaging, and additional amendments that were suggested by the committee, many of which were included in Senator Hanger's bill as far as the safety issues and child safety issues go. So that's the bill, Madam Chair.
Any questions of the patron?
Move to report.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded the bill be reported. All in favor of that motion, please say aye. Noes have the same right. Any abstentions?
Aye.
Sounds like 7-0. 7-0, Senator Lewis.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair.
That was quick and down. Yes. Katie?
The non-committee members that are Senator Stewart or Senator Reeves, I don't see, so we can move to committee members. You can do Senator Eben, 1133.
Senator Eben?
I have a substitute, is that right, David?
What page is that?
So this establishes a commercial marijuana market that was taken effect on July 2024, regulating smokable and edible hemp products, instituted transitional market
Page 8.
to purchase retail marijuana from pharmaceutical
Page 8.
processors, starting on January 1st, as well as allowing some smaller economically distressed or applicants who reside in economically distressed areas to participate when the market starts. It incorporates measures that are in Senator Hanger's bill on packaging, dosage, and safety as well. It's similar to what you've seen in past years, a little bit slimmer, giving authority to the Cannabis Control Authority to flesh out certain regulations. I don't know if there's any other questions. Provisions to lose the license for selling to people under 21.
Any questions of the patron? Senator Norman?
Madam Chairman, I'm just reading the summation of the bill on 8 and 9. Establishes a resentencing process for individuals with marijuana convictions. Is that still in there or not?
It is.
What's that mean?
It incorporates provisions that were in Senator Lucas's bill that allow for resentencing for people who pass marijuana offenses, consideration of resentencing. I don't know if Senator Lucas might be able to better summarize.
Yes, it does not lend itself to anything other than just the marijuana conviction, though. If there are other charges, then of course they all stand. It's just that one conviction that they will have an opportunity for reconsideration. Any other questions of the patron? Motion?
One other.
Senator Norman has one more question.
And I apologize for not reading the bill. The second bullet amends some social equity-related provisions. What's that all about?
Instead of giving any kind of preference for people from last year who had a criminal conviction, it provides preferences for people who lived in economically distressed areas rather than in interaction with the criminal justice system.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Eben. Any further questions of the patron?
Move report.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded the bill be reported. All in favor, please say aye. Noes have the same right.
No.
Any abstentions? Sounds like we have 3 noes.
No.
Oh, your I came in late. I'm sorry. It's 5-2.
Got it.
What's the vote?
5-2.
5-2 to report.
The next bill we can.
Senator Eben, your bill is reported.
The next one we can do Senator Marsden on page 12.
Senator Marsden, you're 994 on page 12.
Thank you, Madam Chair. What this bill does is create the Office of the Ombudsman at the Department of Corrections. Now, we have an excellent Department of Corrections, but a 25,000 inmate agency with all those support personnel and correctional officers, information just doesn't flow up the chain necessarily to get to the director. It flows out to us very often with calls from upset families and inmates. Information doesn't get to the governor. And by passing this legislation, we will bring independent oversight and transparency to our prison system. We eliminated or cut the powers of the Board of Corrections to do oversight by making it into a local and regional jails authority, with no authority over the correctional practices of the Department of Corrections. And this would fix that. There'd be created an oversight board of 13 members to hire the independent ombudsman, and that's essentially what the bill does. There'll be routine audits and inspections of facilities and responding to complaints of both staff and inmates. And the estimated costs here are about $3.5 million to set it up, but I understand the FIS is going to come in higher than that, and about $1.5 million was the estimate to keep it ongoing. But note this, we're spending $2 million a year in lawsuits on hired attorneys outside of the Attorney General's office to deal with these things. So I don't know, I could say that this is going to pay for itself, but there would be considerable considerable reduction in those costs as well. And I would move, Madam Chair, when it's appropriate, that I think because a budget amendment was not given with this, and we're still waiting on the FIS, is that we put the clause on it and pass this bill out, which came out unanimous out of committee.
I sense there's some questions before we get that far down the road. Senator Peterson.
I don't have any questions.
Okay. Senator Norman. Senator Norman moves the clause. It's been second. All in favor of adding the adding the clause, please designate aye. Nay.
Aye.
Sounds like 7-0. Senator Marston.
That is the bill, Madam Chair, and I move it be reported.
It's been moved and properly seconded that the bill be reported. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Nays have the same right. Any abstentions? 7-0. The bill is reported.
I don't see any other patrons here, so I think we're done with the bills. We can reach out to other people, see if they can come to full committee. If you all have time, I have a couple quick questions that we could discuss upstairs, but I believe we're done with bills in terms of these here today.
Thank you. Then the other bills will be referred to another date. Thank you very much. Committee will rise.
He's in.
He's been